Welcome to the workshop on navigating family relationships during your faith journey. So, my name is Mary Jane Badger. I'm Alan West's cousin. Sorry, now you're on live TV. Sorry. When Ross asked me to do this workshop, I seriously thought he was kidding, and I started to laugh on navigating family relationships because I've spent 34 years thinking I'm failing at it. But as I pondered this, I figured I had learned a thing or two that I can share. So my goal for you today is to, by the end of this workshop, have at least one tool to add to your toolbox or tool belt, and about navigating family relationships within a Mormon environment, and or family or friends or those you feel burdened with to relate to, and to try and set you free from the burden or the heaviness you might feel when you're trying to fix them or to get them. And these are going to be trigger words: fixing them or get them, through this workshop. So my background briefly is I am the seventh of 9 children from a royal Mormon family, and I call it royal because the ancestors on both sides of my family go way back to the pioneers, and my great-great-grandfather was the third prophet of the Mormon church. And, you know, we all like to give our Mormon credentials, but it's important. And it's because that's a big sense of pride in my family. And sometimes I wasn't able to see the difference between actual belief and faith or the pride, and this is who we are. So that's where I came from. I went on a Mormon mission to London, England. I got married in the temple. I have 2 sons. When I was 30, I got divorced and left the church. So I, along with my whole family, thought that lightning would strike and I'd crash and burn. But at that point, I didn't care. I had learned enough about what I'd been taught that I didn't care if it was true. I was leaving it, and I did. And it turned out that no lightning struck, and I got to know a different God, or know God differently is probably the better way to say it. And I had a career in pharmaceutical research. My kids grew up, they got married, they have kids, and it was okay. But for 20 years, I lived in kind of a higher power, new age, pagan happiness. That's how I raised my kids. And it took 20 years for me to accept Jesus. And that's a whole nother story, a whole nother workshop. But it was a great journey. And but it's hard when you leave the faith of your family, when it's a Mormon faith. It's really difficult. I was no longer on the inside. I was an outsider. I no longer had the right to talk as an insider. I was an outsider. People kind of were nice, but never, ever, ever did they want to know why I left the church. Never did they want to know what I believed. They just would rather not hear. So that's kind of my background. And so you guys have some stickies. Those of you who are streaming, you can just think about this or write down 2 things for me. On one sticky, write down a name, or you don't have to put their name like Betty. You could put your friend or your sister or your wife or something. Someone who you have a heaviness for or a burden for, to anyone who comes to mind who would be someone you'd relate to with a Mormon background. Or, do you get it, what I mean? Okay, and then on the second sticky, write an emotion that it elicits from you. This doesn't have to be the best one. You don't have to pick your favorite or the best one. Just pick one. You won't be graded on it. There's not even a pass-fail. just an exercise for us. Okay. Does anyone mind being on live stream? Because I want you to participate. You're good? You're good? Okay. You guys are good? The what? Oh, okay. Well, then it will be some dead air. Can I just hold it for you? Well, this is what I would like you. Oh yeah, don't say the name. Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is just briefly. I hope that we'll have time to speak more of your stories at the end of this, of whatever you would like to share. But this, I'd like you to share the person you have a burden for. You don't have to say their name. You don't even have to say how they're related to you or not. You can just say this person, okay? And then the emotion that it elicits, and then briefly, where are you on your faith journey? So that I have an idea of who I'm talking to, okay? I think I already know, but, okay. Jeremiah.
Hello, I'm Jeremiah. This person, I am determined, I would say, to see them progress in their faith journey. Yet, I'm also puzzled. And where I'm at in my faith journey, I hope to say that I look to genuinely follow Jesus, and it's been about 13 years, a little more than that.
And are you not a Mormon? No.
I've never been a Mormon, and I'm presently not a Mormon to my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Danny, and someone that I'm hoping for is a friend, a colleague that I met when I was living here, and I have hope and eagerness about it. I think the challenge maybe oftentimes is if people don't have their own sense of need. Sometimes you got to wait for a crisis moment in a person's life and hope that you've built enough relationship that they can trust you with that. And I'm a never Mormon. Yeah.
I am Alan, and I have a family member who elicits sadness in me because I feel like I am a source of disappointment to them. I've been very close to this family member my whole life and looked up to them, but the relationship has changed over the last 3 years. I've been LDS my whole life, still technically am, but 3 years ago I started moving away from the Mormon church, and not only this family member, other family members have treated me as maybe an object of pity, and so that's what makes me feel sad.
I'm Sarah, and I have never been Mormon, and I don't really know. We don't live here. I don't know anyone who is in our community that is Mormon. So what I chose was a person in my life who I would like to share my faith with, who doesn't share it, who is not Mormon though, and it invokes irritation.
Okay, thanks you guys. Thanks for this format. I would have you come up and put the stickies on the wall, but we're not doing that this time. But so we're all on a journey, and we're all in a different place on a journey. And in my number of years of experience, my journey, it's a continuous. We don't ever stop. If you think you get there, take that as a red flag, okay? Because I don't think you ever arrive. But in the last couple of years, I've come to believe very strongly that in order to really have a relationship with my family is, my siblings are the hardest ones for me, and to bring the burden and the heaviness and the weight and the sadness and the irritation and the sometimes hope and lots of eagerness and all these feelings are a lot of frustration. But I have strongly believed that we need to set others free and to have their own journey. We're on our journeys, and I think we need to set them free. And by setting them free, we are really setting ourselves free. And so I want to rename this workshop to Let Them Have Their Trip. Okay? Journey would work, pathway would work, but I just really like trip. And I have to credit Rob Bell in a podcast he did of the same name. Many of the ideas in this workshop I've adapted from this podcast to fit with my own family relationships, and not just Mormon issues, but definitely Let Them Have Their Trip has helped me tremendously over the last year or so with dealing with my family and setting me free. So let them have their trip. Setting others free to have their own. We each are on ours, and we need to let others be on theirs. And a couple ways to think about this is people can be baffling. They can be frustrating. Think about the person on your sticky, or maybe someone else even comes to mind. But there's a heaviness, a weight, a burden that comes to trying to get people somewhere. When we try to make them see what we see, when we try to convince them, to coax them, they just don't get it. And why can't they see? Why can't they understand me? Why can't they listen to me? Why don't they get it? And so first of all, you can't make someone go someplace that they don't want to go. And second is, when did they become your responsibility? It kind of creeps up on us, and suddenly we feel responsible. I know, especially when I became a follower of Christ, I thought, oh, it is my responsibility to fix them, to get them. Well, no, it's not. It is if I have a specific call to that, or if I'm led to that in a specific way. But it is not up to me. And if I say I trust Jesus, then I should show that I trust Jesus and let them have their trip. And when we say, like, I need to fix them, I need to help them, I need to get them, they need me, it's all I and me. I and me. It's not about them. It's about me and the burden I have to fix them. What would they do without me, right? Well, they'd do a lot. So, again, you can't make someone go somewhere they don't want to be. And we'll talk about that more later. A third thing about letting them have their own trip is it's really easy for our newfound truths, our newfound beliefs, our ideas that we've learned to actually be an obstacle to these friends and family for waking up. We can hinder them by trying to force this on them. It's like, how do you feel if someone starts giving you advice that you didn't ask for? It's like, are you just going, wow, can you stop now? Can you please stop? And it really actually backfires on this person, on the people who are trying to give you advice. And they want you to read something, they want you to come with them someplace, they want to get you, and we don't like that. It's pestering, it's annoying, and we don't like it. So why do we think anyone else would like it either? So there's something about setting someone free to have their own trip. And I want to just make a disclaimer here for this. This doesn't work in every circumstance. I'm talking about general familial relationships or friends. And if someone's doing something that's hurting themselves or someone else, I'm not suggesting you just let them have their own trip. Okay, so it doesn't fit in every circumstance. But for the purposes of this workshop, that's what we're doing. So, how many of you have heard the phrase, don't throw your pearls before swine? Yeah, and do you know where it's found? Yeah, good. The Bible. Do you know who said it? Who? Yeah, Jesus said it. This is Matthew 6 and 7 that I'm going to be referring to. But this phrase has become a common phrase in our society. Don't throw your pearls before swine. It's almost become a cliche. But if we take a closer look at at this verse, we may see that Jesus is trying to teach us a very practical lesson here. So going beyond the common phrase, don't throw your pearls before swine, it continues by reading, or they will trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Wow. It's kind of a violent visual. So a couple of observations about this is pearls are valuable. Observation number 2, not to a pig. A pig can't eat them. A pig can't digest them. What would a pig want to do with a pearl? So, to throw your pearls before swine is to put something of value before something that cannot appreciate it. And when we do this, inevitably, it will inevitably create resentment towards you and towards the valuable thing you're trying to give. So earlier in this section of the Bible, Jesus is teaching about shame and judgment and how we sometimes use shame and judgment to get people in line, to fix them, and how that's not a good idea. And then following that section comes a section about the pearls before swine. And I believe that Jesus is showing us that it's not only the bad stuff, the shame and judgment we shouldn't do, it's the good stuff too, to try and fix and control people. And that it just doesn't work. Again, if you think about getting this free advice from somebody, you just stop. Or has someone ever given you a free gift and you can just feel the strings attached? So you might say, thank you, but it starts to build resentment. And that's what we're doing when we're trying to fix people and trying to get them. If we go back further, a little higher up in Matthew 6, in this teaching, this is where Jesus is teaching us to live without worry or anxiety. Don't worry about what you wear. Don't worry about what you have to eat. It's like this whole section is saying to live present, live in the now, how to be a non-anxious presence in the world, or how to be a non-anxious friend, brother, coworker, sister. And I believe that one way to live as a non-anxious, centered, grounded presence in the world, it may be to entrust others to divine care and to love. The same divine care and love that has carried you on your journey to now, we can trust with the people that we feel burdened for. We got to go on our trip. Let's let them go on theirs. That we need to cease efforts to control others, to let others have their trip. We can be with them. We can go walk with them. We can be there for them. We can help them when they'll let us help them. We can love them. And we can live our authentic self. We need to be our authentic self and live our own truth. And be prepared to tell them your truth when and if they ask. There's a little reference to 1 Peter, by the way. But it's not easy. All these things, I have emotions. I get hurt all the time. It's not easy to do. But the one thing we need to do is to love these people and let them have their trip. So is there anybody that you've become weary over because at some level you have become to feel responsible to fix them or get them to understand? Maybe the person on your sticky or someone else comes to mind. The person that still believes, no matter how hard you've tried to coax him out. The ones who patronize you or think something's wrong with you, or maybe they've stopped trusting you, or maybe they lie to you in order to protect the church. And all these things, you don't have to carry that. You don't have to. You be you and let them have their trip and set yourself free too. And sometimes this will establish, you need to do this by establishing strong boundaries. It's something that is hard, that I have to keep doing all the time. I have a sister who I want to be on my inside circle, but I can't. She hurts my feelings too much because she will tell me untruths in order to protect the church or protect people from me in the church. And so sometimes boundaries are easier with some people than others. It's hard to set a boundary with a spouse. It's easier to set a boundary with your spouse's family. It's hard to set boundaries with someone really intimate with you, but we need to make peace with the fact that maybe we need to set boundaries and let them have their trip, that we are not their only hope. And sometimes we just have to love them from a distance. But these boundaries change, and they'll keep changing. And maybe we'll keep testing, letting someone in, but just trusting your own trip and letting others have their trip. So I would like to hear from you guys, any insights you have. This live streaming makes a really different group. So otherwise we'd be interacting a lot more. So I don't know how the other groups have actually done this, but I would love to hear more of your stories and how any insights you have or any impact anything we've talked about has. And does that need to be live streamed? Yeah. Okay. So it could get personal. So we are going to cut the live stream, and so thanks for participating.